What is going on, guys? It is Jamil with Milliman Studios. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. Today we have a special video. It's going to be a little bit of a photo comparison. As I was editing some photos in Adobe Lightroom, I noticed that there was a function that I had not seen before, and it is entitled Lens Blur. It's an early access, so whatever you see in this video is subject to change. It looks like they're just testing it out right now because there is an option to click to share feedback on lens blur. So this is a very interesting concept because, as you know, your smartphone has a thing called portrait mode, and on portrait mode it essentially utilizes software within your phone to make a synthetic blur that you would organically get from, say, an 85-1.2 or any, let me grab this, any lens with a fast aperture. So this is interesting because what this sort of software could do is minimize the need for an extremely fast lens like the 85 f1.2. You could potentially get the same sort of buttery bokeh by using an f4 lens. Why get an f2.8 or why get a 1.8 or a 1.7 or a 1.2 when you can, adjust the lens blur through software? So what I did for this test was take 4 images. I set up my Canon R3 with the 85 f1.2, and I took 4 images. The first image was at f1.2, the second image was at f4, the third image was at f8, and the final image was at f16. So we have quite a variety, and you can see as we go through the images, the bokeh, as beautiful as it is at 1.2, it diminishes as you go to f4 to f8, and more in focus obviously at f16. So essentially for this video, I just want to kind of experiment and see what this lens blur does to images, especially if you're not shooting wide open. Just say I'm shooting at f4 or f8 or f16. I want to take those images and kind of see what this software, what this computerized bokeh, computerized blur, what it does to an image like an f8 or f16 image. Does it make it comparable to shooting at a f1.2 or f1.4? I have so many questions and I haven't really played around with it, but hopefully you guys could join me as we take a deep dive into this rabbit hole. But before we get into this video, guys, I want to thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for the subs. You guys really supported on my last video, which was a POV street stranger portrait video with the Canon R3 and the 85 f1.2. You guys showed a lot of support. I just really want to thank you for that. Be sure to check out www.millimanstudios.com/presets to take a look at my preset packs that I have available for sale. Thank you so much to you guys who have purchased it. Like I say, and I will always say, you guys are more than capable in making your own presets. So when you support the channel by purchasing, it really does mean a lot. And then finally, guys, check out my Instagram at Milliman Studios and my black and white Instagram page where I utilize this Leica Q2 monochrome and the R3 as well. I use the R3 as well at stark contrast. Okay, so getting into Lightroom right now, here is an image at, as you can see here, shot at 1/100th f1.2 ISO 100. We can actually, I think we're a little underexposed here compared to this image. So just for the sake of consistency, let's bring this up. Okay, so this image was shot with the, as you can see, 85mm f1.2 with the DS coating over the lens. So you can see this beautiful soft bokeh that comes out of this lens, really nice. This is shot wide open, as you can see, 1/100th of a second, f1.2 ISO of 100, just a beautiful image. Obviously you can see all of my imperfections, but I'm okay with that. So beautiful clarity out of this lens. I absolutely love this lens, everything to do with this lens. It's my favorite portrait lens. But then again, most importantly, you can see just how soft and nice and beautiful the bokeh is. Next up, we have an image. The settings are changed, obviously, because now we're at f4.0. So ISO I brought up to 500, and we're still at 1/100th. Beautiful image yet again, clarity and everything looks good. The bokeh, it's still beautiful at f4, but look how much smaller it is compared to the f1.2. That's quite a big jump, and that jump when you're looking at lenses is probably about a $2,500 Canadian jump. depending on what lens you're looking at. And then now we're going to go to the f8. So this was shot at 1/100th seconds, f8.0, and ISO at 2000. Images still holding up beautifully at 2000 ISO. But then again, we look at the bokeh, and smaller it gets compared to the f4 and the 1.2. And then finally here we have an image shot at f16. We're at 1/40th of a second, f16, and ISO of 3200. The image is still sharp as ever. That ISO bumping up isn't really doing much at all that you can tell, at least I can't. But now you have all the context in the background. You kind of see everything. It's not a mystery as to what's behind me. When you look at the 1.2, it's kind of like, what is that? Here you see, oh, this is a candle. This is a lens, and hey, that's a Leica Q2. We're gonna, you know what, let's start off with the 1.2. So we have the lens blur function. As you can see here, it says early access. And when we apply it, what's gonna happen is that it's gonna analyze the photo. Pay attention here. And you're gonna see it actually diffused the lights even further. So I'm going to take that off just so you can see the difference. So that's natural with the f1.2 organically coming out of the camera. And this is a synthetic addition made through software. The background is more blurred through software. So now you can actually decrease the blur. Let's see how that compares with it. So this, when you decrease it all the way, obviously it goes back to normal. And then you could ever so slightly or majorly increase it. So I'll be honest with you, it does look synthetic. It doesn't look as natural or as organic. This is at 100%. If we go back to 50, 50 actually looks doable. It doesn't look like cartoonish or crazy. This is gorgeous as it is. Just the regular lens, you know, just the natural 1.2, you can't beat that, but you can enhance the blur by even going 50% or 30% or so. So that's interesting. You know what? I probably won't touch this function when using my f1.2, but it is interesting to see that you can do that. So just for the sake of argument, let's go to 50% bokeh. Oh my goodness. So you can boost. So here we have different types of bokeh. Look at how the bokeh is changing. This is insane. So, okay, so now you have more of those oval shaped bokeh compared to the more round. So you can boost the bokeh now, as we do to 100. Let's see. Okay, interesting. So let's zoom in here. Let's bring that to 60 and now to 100. So you're just changing the characteristics of the bokeh. Again, the fall off on the, you know, the natural bokeh, it's a little jarring over here. So this actually could enhance. Like, I think that actually looks enhanced. That's at 50% with the lens blur. And if we were to boost it, like, I would only probably boost it to probably 20%. And I think that looks beautiful. I would actually say that's better than the regular 1.2. I feel like I just sinned by saying that, but I would say that that is enhanced. Let's back out here. Yeah, to be honest with you, I kind of like that. 50% and a 20% boost. You can actually drag this bar. This is the focal range, and you can see I'm getting blurry, but it looks very synthetic. That does not look natural at all. I don't like that at all. I probably wouldn't touch that at all. The only two things that I like so far is this blur amount and the bokeh boost. I want to go now to the f16 image. Now this is going to be interesting because we're going to go to the lens blur. We're going to see if we can make this image like the f1.2 or close. So we're going to apply on the f16 image. It's analyzing the image. Let's see if it actually makes the bokeh like the 1.2. Interesting. Now, if I was a betting man, I would say that this, just at 50%, it turned the bokeh balls into what looks like the f.4. Let's see. It looks exactly like the f4 image. That's pretty incredible. This f16 image at 50%, we have it at what a f4 image looks like regularly. That is mind-blowing. Oh my gosh. And you're not going to have the fall off. Like, my whole face, I think what makes it looks a little synthetic is that my whole face is in focus. There's no fall off on my ears, and then the background is just super blurred. Look at the f1.2. You have my face in focus, but then there's a nice gradual organic fall off onto my ears and then further into the background. Whereas, check out, see how my ears are blurred here? Look at the f16 image. My whole face, everything is in focus, and then there's this drastic fall off on the back end. And this is where the software, I think, kind of falls short, because there is, when I look at this image, there is something strange about it, because everything here is perfectly in focus and the background is so blurred. So that's one way to tell if you're dealing with the organic bokeh or a synthetic bokeh. So we have this f16 image at 50%. Let's boost it to 100%. So as you can see here, this is so cool because it's similar. The synthetic blur is similar to the f1.2's organic blur. It actually has better, rounder circles. I wouldn't say better, but they have rounder circles. So let's take a look at this bokeh. Let's take a nice close look, and I'll actually get both pictures up so we can compare them. And if we were to boost it, what are we looking? Okay, versus, okay, look at this one, for example. This one kind of sticks out. So if we boost that, so really it's, yeah, interesting. You are just kind of changing the character of the bokeh, really to your preference. But most importantly, guys, I think that, the fact that you can have an f16 image, or let's actually get those pictures up together. This is crazy because we have an f1.2 image and an f16 image, both with, I would say, pretty gorgeous bokeh. And I mean, yeah, I like this more. These look a little hollow. But I mean, still, to the untrained eye, like, that's pretty good. But I gotta say, guys, this is intriguing to me. Yeah, when I'm looking at this image carefully, like, look at this. Like, what is that? It just it just, something doesn't look right with this f16 image with that beautiful bokeh. It almost looks too cartoonish. Whereas this looks very natural. So I think it's awesome. I think it is a pretty cool addition. That, if you are not able to get your hands on an f1.2 lens, or those super fast lenses like an f1.4 or something crazy like that, you are still able to produce images that have beautiful bokeh and beautiful blur, lens blur. Like, if you use this program, you're turning your f4 lens into a potentially f2 or f1.8 or 1.4 or f1.2 lens. And I think that's a great development. I still think there is room to improve to make it look a little bit more realistic. I never thought that an f16 image can have bokeh like that. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. Yeah, but I'm very interested to see what you guys think about these developments. Do you think that it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's good for photography? It's sort of like that whole AI conversation. Is it good for photographers or artists, that kind of thing? I'm really interested to see what your take is on this. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another video, guys. Be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. I am going to be getting out with the Q2 monochrome for another street portrait and just street photography video. I absolutely love this camera. And then big news coming up for the new year. I have a trip planned with my buddy, and it's going to be a pure photography trip. So be sure to stay tuned for that, guys. Remember, the best gear is the gear you have, and the best photos are the ones you take. Don't forget to keep on shooting.